Hey, what's up, everybody? Dr. Seth Gerlach here with Core Health. Special guest today from Symbowl, Miss Becky. Becky, how's it going?
Hello. Good. How are you?
Sorry, we had some technical difficulties. Becky, have you ever had one of these where it just went 100% perfectly smooth?
No, I don't. Well, I've had some smoother than others. Last week was a fiasco. I do these every single Friday where
Yeah,
I'm hosting the show. So yeah, I get it.
gotcha. I just didn't know if it was me or I don't know. Okay, good. That
It
makes me feel a little
actually
better.
it does get easier, and
Yeah,
you figure out the glitches and why the glitches happen. You can do this, Seth. Every week you can do this.
awesome. I appreciate it. Practice makes perfect. So it's
Yes,
going to be different today because you're on the other side of the camera here a little bit. You're in the
I
hot seat.
know.
Today, I want to talk about food. And food is really the basis for how we stay alive, how we make energy, how we heal and replenish our bodies. And I think it's probably one of the most important things, if not the most important things that we do to get healthy and stay healthy. Would you kind of agree with that?
I would agree with that. And I think there have been points in my life where I would have disagreed with that or didn't want to listen to what you have to say about that.
Yes. So today we're going to talk with Becky. She's the owner of Symbowl. If you don't know what Symbowl is, we're going to talk about that today. Restaurant here in St. Louis. She also does things like AIP friendly menus, Paleo, Whole30, Keto, a lot of these other things. So if you're sticking to any one of these diets right now, or you're just looking to, be healthier with your diet, you want to pay attention and stay tuned because we're going to talk about a lot of this stuff today. So I guess, Becky, let's start with what made you first get into this foodie type scene, but real health food scene.
Okay, so I think it's easier to backtrack. In my 20s, I was very depressed. I was diagnosed with bipolar. I was on several different medications, and most medications were not working for me. And I remember going into my psychiatrist who was prescribing me the medications. I was literally in bed 1 week out of every single month. And I identified it to be hormones. I identified that. My own intuition kind of guided me there. And I started discovering and wanting to learn natural health. And like, there's something more going on. And I remember telling the doctor I wanted to go down this path, and she refused to treat me any longer. So my journey of well-being and health actually kind of started down a path of spirituality. I started diving into a spiritual practice, which then led into healthy eating. And I started studying with a naturopath, and I studied with a naturopath for 2 years. Got certified in colon hydrotherapy. So I can tell you a lot about your shit.
That's I didn't know that, Becky. That's great.
Yeah, I don't talk about that a whole lot. For 2 years, I worked in that arena, went to school for massage therapy, and then realized that was not the avenue and path that I wanted to go down. I met my partner, Greg, who's usually behind the scenes. Everybody sees my face as the face of Symbowl, but Greg really is the food component to what Symbowl is. And he had gone to culinary school in Florida and worked for a chiropractor right out of college or out of culinary school. And he did specialty-based diets for this chiropractor based on blood types. So he was doing this 25 years ago before anybody knew what paleo was. Anybody was using the terminology of keto. And I had this vision of always wanting to open up a cafe, coffee shop, because of networks, because of the people in the community. And Greg had the food component. So that's why we kind of partnered together 8 years ago. The vision was not what we have currently today, is not much different than what we opened our doors doing early on, but it's developed and molded into these specialty-based diets because the community as a whole is who's pushed us in that direction.
Gotcha. And I love that because people out there are making a big splash in really everything today. I saw something, oh my gosh, I think it was last week, and it said something about how Starbucks, their Frappuccino sales are plummeting. And the owner said it was due to the health and wellness industry or health and wellness trends.
Oh, don't even get me started. I worked at Starbucks. I don't know if you knew this about me.
All right, we won't talk about that. But
Yeah.
you had some other interesting points too about you told your doctor you were going to, take off on this health journey with food and all this other stuff, and she really kind of dismissed it and was almost kind of mad. I see that a lot in my practice where, patients, they're confused, they don't know what to do, and they're going to their medical doctors with, these symptoms, these problems, and asking for help and asking for nutritional advice, and they're not usually getting the most sound and correct advice for them, and I think a lot of it is due to, medical doctors don't have a lot of training in nutrition, and it's not their fault. They just don't have the same background as other healthcare professionals do. But that's where even people like you, Becky, you kind of taking the reins for the St. Louis community, and you're kind of driving the ship, and we're going to Healthy Town. We're taking all these great foods along with us here. So that's awesome. I love the stuff that you're doing, and you're making big waves, which is great.
Thank you. I think what we're trying to do is when we opened up our doors, again, we didn't recognize and realize what other doors we'd be opening. And in this industry, one with a little to no budget, we opened our doors up with $300 in our account 7 years ago. And here we are 7 years later, and we rebranded from the Hot Pot to Symbowl. And in doing that, then it's trying to educate, what is this that you do? What is this meaning of food as medicine? And that's where we started collaborating with functional medicine doctors and really pulling in this educational components. So we're building this community, not just us doing it by ourselves, but partnering with people like you.
Right. And it is a community because everyone's involved. No one person knows everything. I think that's great, and I love teaming up with other doctors and, awesome restaurants like you guys have too, because, people need options. And that's what's great about today. People can find a lot of options, and it's growing by the day, which is the super cool part of it. So what's your favorite dish at Symbowl? Put you on the spot here.
So I seem to go back and forth. I love, I think too often people combine the sauces.
Gotcha.
And they miss some of the best flavors by not leaving the sauces just by themselves. The green curry is one of my top favorites.
Gotcha.
And then I'll flip over to the lemon mango curry, which is what my new addiction right now, because I go, I forgot how good that tastes.
Yeah.
I do eat at the restaurant almost every single day. I never get bored with it. I still crave it. It's my go-to restaurant.
That's awesome. So cool. So you created this little pet project that, you got your own kitchen, but hey, you got the whole community can come hang out with you too and eat for dinner. That's great. Yeah. So I want to talk about, you do specific types of dietary or for dietary restrictions, things like that we could say. So did it start out more paleo-ish and then it kind of molded into other things? Is that how it started?
So we opened our doors knowing we were going to be gluten-free and cater to the vegan community as well. We really did not know what paleo was. Our very first customer that came in was paleo, and she realized, I can eat here. But there were a couple of other guys that said, we're trying to create some restaurants willing to put a paleo menu together. Obviously, I think the CrossFit community was a huge pull in the paleo theme that went on. And we just sat down with them and we went through our entire menu. We tweaked a few of our recipes to make it paleo. That was when sweet potatoes came onto our menu as well, to add that. And then obviously Whole30, which is the super clean of paleo, was formulated as well.
Yeah. So let's talk about this for a minute while we're there. What I use a lot of paleo type things, some Whole30 things. I mix and match from a lot of different places. What I usually do is like an elimination style diet with people, just because most people come in, they're eating standard American diet or something similar, a lot of grains, a lot of processed sugars, processed foods, dairy, alcohol, a lot of these things. Right. And one of the first steps is, we have to clean up the diet. We have to get your gut a chance to heal, your immune system a chance to calm down. inflammation a chance to really get back to normal. So we kind of start there. Gluten and dairy are big ones. We kind of start with almost a paleo type template, depending on the person. So maybe go through like from what you see, like paleo versus Whole30. Who are the people that are using it? What are the differences?
So I think one of the things that starts is the gyms, the CrossFit community. They put these Whole30 challenges out there. And then what I identify and notice is that paleo becomes the first easy piece. By going paleo, you're eliminating all of those major food groups that most would have allergies or issues with health-wise. But then what we find out is that somebody's doing paleo, but it's still not working 100%. And then that's where the AIP component falls in, those nightshades, and you're the doctor, you're the expert, but these were all new terminologies that we had to identify and figure out what exactly is AIP. And I'll be honest with you, there were moments just like in this industry, you'll hear about people going into restaurants and saying, oh, I'm allergic to gluten. Well, are you really allergic to gluten, or do you have celiac?
Yeah.
And this stuff is thrown out there so often that in the restaurant industry, the eyes roll, because you may say I'm gluten, I can't have gluten, but then you'll order the dessert at the end of your dinner, and you're going, we made sure all of these protocols were in place. So I say this because this is the terminology that's happening out there. And just because you have a gluten intolerance does not mean you are celiac or highly allergic to gluten.
Right. Yes.
And we've got to be cautious when using this terminology, because when you have somebody who truly is, and it's not taken into consideration and the cross-contamination happens, now you're getting the phone call that somebody was sick.
Right. That's a big deal too. I've been with people, kind of a funny story, but we go to restaurants and they'll get like a a fried chicken sandwich, but they say, I want gluten-free bun. And I'm like, what did you do? But I think it's a really good point you put up. So with paleo, we're talking about limiting legumes, limiting grains, dairy, really focusing on good quality meat, vegetables, just a small amount of fruits, nuts and seeds, really, right?
Right.
So,
and even eliminating a lot of the nuts. I mean, peanuts is not in the paleo protocol. And again, you're eliminating those that most would be highly allergic to.
Right. And that's the goal. So the people I see coming in, they've got, those big foods that, hey, we can get out, and that's going to allow your body to heal. So it's different. An allergy is different from an intolerance. And sometimes people just can't. So getting rid of those can be very big. You touched on AIP also, so autoimmune paleo, for those who don't know. And so you have certain dishes for this also, right? So AIP is paleo, but it's more restrictive in that it takes out eggs, takes out nightshades, and even nuts and seeds. So what are some of the dishes that you have that are AIP friendly?
So really what we've created is all of our menu is all the same menu, but everything, we go into these customized dietary issues and we color code them based off of what you would be able to eat. So for instance, the ginger chamomile was a sauce that we created. The bone broth is an AIP sauce that falls into most of the protocol. However, there is a very small percentage of people that can't do turmeric. So the ginger chamomile I know you would I sit there and go, we have more education in food as a restaurant owner than most doctors have.
That is absolutely true.
But the ginger chamomile we created because it's a super strict AIP sauce. And instead of using any sweeteners in it whatsoever, we use raisins to sweeten that sauce.
Yes.
And you're not having tomato. We also created our no tomato pasta sauce and our no tomato barbecue sauce. Those aren't sauces you can order in the bowls, but those are the sauces that we retail out of our refrigerator.
Gotcha. And I've tried those, and they are delicious, by the way.
Yeah. Thank you.
So you're doing some retail now too. So looking to kind of spread some Symbowl across the country, across the world, right? Let's get some people healthy all over the place, right?
Well, what we're realizing is when you start going down this rabbit hole, how difficult some things are. Doing co-packing with whole food, it doesn't exist in St. Louis. There is a need for this. We're collaborating and talking with other people that have great products. So we're hoping, maybe crossing our fingers, an investor shows up to purchase a facility and create a co-packing facility that is exclusive to whole food and to all of these dietary issues that we're talking about.
That's great. Well, there you go. Any investors out there listening, we'll hook you up there. We'll hook you up. All right. So we've talked paleo, a little bit of whole food. Whole food is just a little stricter, taking out alcohol and a lot of the other sugars and things like that too. We talked AIP, super restrictive. So then so keto is the whole big thing now, right? Everyone's talking about keto.
Yeah.
So how many of your customers coming in are looking for keto meals? And then what do you provide for keto meals, really?
So what I hear more often than strict keto is I hear people saying that they're mostly keto. And I think that's a misconception that a lot of people out there have, is that keto is not something you can mostly do. Keto, you are either committed to or you're not, because what your body is doing is basically going into ketosis by your body using the fat that you currently have. It's breaking everything down much faster and much sooner. So you're eating high fat foods, very, very minimal carbohydrates. And most of those carbohydrates are coming from the vegetables that you're eating, not from a sandwich that you're eating in the afternoon. In fact, one piece of bread gives you almost more carbohydrates than what you would be able to have in an entire day.
Right.
But you're hearing a lot of major weight loss happening because of keto. If you aren't committed to keto, then you're really doing a low carb diet protocol. And ketosis, one day of messing everything up, it will take you 3 to 4 days to get back into ketosis. Right. So ask, is it worth what you're doing, what your choices are?
Gotcha. Mostly keto. That's a good one. I hear mostly gluten-free all the time.
Wait, was it mostly gluten-free?
Mostly gluten-free. And I've heard, I'm mostly gluten-free except for all my beers I have at night. So I don't know if that qualifies. Yeah. And there's no...
I saw the video that you did talking about what is functional medicine and taking each person on an individual journey and pathway to identify their health. Yep. And I honestly think that that's what people need to tap into. They need to tap into what works for them for a longevity of a lifestyle. Oftentimes people are going to somebody like you because they're in dire straits. They have major health concerns. Somebody like me, I don't have any major health concerns. However, I know how I want to function and I know how I want to feel. And based off of the food choices that I'm making, I'm either choosing to not be in full functional the next day, or I can choose to have more energy. So I don't follow any one of these protocols. I can say that I'm mostly gluten-free.
Very good, Becky.
I'm mostly gluten-free, meaning that I know how gluten affects me and how I feel if I eat it. But I love pizza. If I'm going to choose to indulge in something and I'm going to say, I'm going to eat a pizza, I'm going to go eat the best pizza that I can and not some frozen thing that's sitting in my freezer.
Right.
We have to learn how to function for ourselves for longevity, not for a quick fix. Yeah. That would be my message to anybody out there, and working with a doctor that understands that and sees that and helps you identify how to maneuver through that as well.
Yeah, for sure. And there's a lot of great functional medicine doctors out there too. And I like what you said. And that's why I hate using the word diet, because people have such a bad connotation with that, I have to starve myself, or all I eat is lettuce all day, or, things like that. But it's all about sustainability, like you said, putting in, same thing, anything we're doing. If we're trying to make a a good morning routine. It's about repetition and that becoming a habit. Same thing with dietary stuff. So it's about, planning your days, meal prepping, making sure you're getting the right kinds of foods in, going to Symbowl at least once a day. No, but it's really, like you said, taking small steps to start out like that and stuff that you can attain. Because if you say, oh my gosh, I got to go keto, and then you fail after 4 days and you give up, that didn't do you any good.
I won't name the diet, and I won't name the person that promotes this diet protocol, but I know several that have gone through it. And it's very frustrating for me to see somebody who wants to approach something because of weight loss, but they're being told to eat low-fat yogurt, Subway every single day, chicken and broccoli every single evening. And there's that, yes, you're going to lose weight following this structured diet protocol.
Yeah.
But as far as longevity, you're going to get really burnt out of these specific foods, only eating them every single day. And you're setting something up for failure.
Yeah. And I always talk about food quality. And it sounds like they're doing more quantity, looking at calorie counts.
Correct.
But I'm more in tune with quality. So I say, our body is built out of the foods we eat. So are we going to have a, really good body from eating really good quality foods, or are we eating off the dollar menu, right? You can't feel like $1 million if you're eating off the dollar menu. And that's so true because, you're making your brain, your other tissues, your gut, your immune system out of the foods you eat. And that's either going to build you up or it's going to break you down. And that's why we focus on really quality, teaching people how to cook. What are the good foods for them? That's I think it's the most important thing that people can do, like you said, for longevity, but also for getting people back to health too, and then keeping them there. It's I'm just a huge fan of food because that was one of the things that changed me. So I used to eat Subway, thinking it was healthy, right? Whole grain bread. I've got a little bit of lettuce on there. Man, I'm doing well. I'm healthy. Little did I know that was wrecking the bacteria in my gut, causing blood sugar spikes, causing overgrowth of candida, all these different things for me, right? Some people may not, but for me, that was a big issue. And so I think nutritional education is just going to be huge for people. And I think with the internet and this wellness boom, you see that a lot more, which is awesome.
It's what makes all of this, I think that that's what this community as a whole is doing. We're all in some levels struggling to get the message out there. And we're all like these little pods, trying to do it all ourselves, but we're finding that collaboration and the community promoting each other, talking about what everybody is doing and continuing to educate and put these resources out there. People are starting to ask more questions and they're seeking it out.
That's great. I love it. So Becky, you've got how many restaurants do you have now?
We have 3 locations. Our Kirkwood was our original. We were known as the Hot Pot early on. We rebranded to Symbowl when we opened up in Chesterfield. And now we have our 3rd location in St. Charles.
That's awesome. So where do people find you? What we'll probably do is we'll link below. You can drop your website in. But tell them where they can find you also, because there's a lot of information on your website too.
Yes, my Symbowl, MySymbowl.com. And you'll find our Find Your Inner Flavor piece in there, which there's an interview with you and I when I was talking to you about what functional medicine is. And what we've created is a database of resources, these interviews with other doctors. And we're also going to have patients that have their own healing stories and can relate to people as well. But that's one of our resources that we offer for free.
That's awesome. And you guys at Symbowl, you're one of the highlights of the wellness community here in St. Louis, and hopefully even spreading out.
That would be the ideal goal. Again, it's all about finding those investors.
Right. You're still listening. If you're still listening, but that's great because what we're doing is we're helping people. We're touching lives. We're extending lives, which has a way bigger effect than you can ever imagine. So that's awesome.
Yeah, we're truly. I believe that this is about leaving a legacy for the next generation by shifting and making the changes today leads to so much more prosperity, not just in wealth and in money, but also in our health as well.
I love it. Health is the most important wealth. And I
Yes.
tell people that, because without health, you got nothing. Anything else you want to leave us with, Becky?
No, thank you. Thank you for this.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming on. Always a pleasure. So I'll have to jump back on your podcast or your video here soon, and we can have fun again.
Okay, sounds perfect. Thanks, Seth.
Thanks a bunch. Thank you, everybody. Take care.